students, welcome to small group. So today our small group is going to be really focused on reaching these two learning targets here. So I found from our quiz that we struggled a little bit with differentiating between internal and external conflicts as well as the types of conflicts. So I just wanted us to meet together to help build each other up and really start understanding that a little bit better. Because for the next few weeks we are going to be focusing on theme, right? So our standard is going to be determining a theme or central idea of a text and analyzing it in detail. And the reason that conflict is so important, I really want you guys to just have a firm grasp on it, is because the way that theme, or the way that the relationship between you and the text and human experience is going to be developed by an author is through tension or conflict. So being able to understand and identify the different types of conflicts in a text is going to be really important. So I feel like some of the understanding is really just understanding what each conflict is. So what we're going to do today in small group is we're going to go over this really quick, and you're going to do some fill in the blanks on a graphic organizer, and then we're going to do a little bit of individual work. So let's get going. So the first type of conflict we're going to be going over is character in self, right? So we see in our graphic organizer here that this is going to be a struggle within yourself. So a struggle in your head due to either lack of confidence, having to make a choice, or facing a personal problem. And so that's going to be, an example of that would be in real life, having to overcome your lack of not wanting to work out and working out. So that's an internal conflict you have to deal with your lack of willpower or confidence in yourself. Another one is going to be character versus character. So this is just when you have a problem with another character, so a disagreement, a fight. So it can be a mental issue, like they're putting you down or physically beating you up or trying to kill you in a lot of cases in movies. So whenever you have another character and a character fighting, in whether verbally, physically, what have you, that's going to be a character versus character. And we're going to come back to this because as we see with character versus technology, right? So this is going to be a battle between technology that has become too powerful or evil. And typically that's going to be a fight against scientific processes or artificial intelligence, like robots or like the super smart robots, which is really what artificial intelligence is. So in some stories, specifically in the sci-fi realm, you're going to see that robots are characters, right? So like in Star Wars, you have droids and things that are characters, C-3PO. But if someone gets in a fight with one of those, it's not going to be a character versus character necessarily. The primary conflict that's going to happen is a character versus technology. So this is going to be the primary because it's going to overarch the character versus character. So even though a character versus character conflict is occurring, this is secondary to the idea of technology since one of those characters is a technical thing. In this one, it can be a little bit difficult because of those interactions with other parts of conflict, because you can have a character versus society type conflict in your technology where there's battles happening between something that you perceive as unjust or unfair in government or culture. And the big way that can happen is like in the Hunger Games with the dystopian reality. So a lot of character versus technology can be a type of dystopian experience. This character versus society can also have to do with racism and other discrimination or equalities within a text as well. So this is going to be super interesting to see in our text that we're going to be reading tomorrow. So then we have character versus nature. So the character is going to face a problem that involves elements of nature. So think natural disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, survival stories like the guy that had to cut off his leg to get out of under the rock, diseases and epidemics. So anyone that writes a story in the future about what we're experiencing with the coronavirus and this pandemic, that would count as a character versus nature type of story. So the last one we're going to talk about is the character versus supernatural or fate. So those are kind of two different ones that are very similar to each other. So supernatural, think vampires, werewolves, demons, things like that. And so just fighting against those things, having conflicts with those, that's going to be character versus supernatural. So in some sense, that could be a primary conflict compared to character versus character. Fate, in large part, is going to have to do with destiny or prophecy. So you can think of Harry Potter, how he had that prophecy where he had to kill Voldemort, or Voldemort had to kill him. So the entire series is about that prophecy and being trapped in it. And so again, this one, specifically in reference to fate, is going to have a lot of associations with character versus self, because this also has a lot to do with God or gods. And so that's a lot of in-head thinking, right? So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to break into our individual work. And you guys are going to be completing a worksheet, okay? So let me go ahead and hand that out to you guys. So for the We Do section, I'm going to have the students complete 2 worksheets. One is the more primary focus, but this first one that I have showing is to help them identify internal and external conflict. So I only briefly mentioned it in the video with the ones where people could get confused about which one is which. And so I have this definition up here of what internal and external conflict is, with examples of what type of conflict each would be qualified under. So the purpose is they're going to use these definitions to then identify whether it's an external and they put an E, or an internal and they put an I for each of these. And then the primary focus of the We Do section would be this worksheet here. So this worksheet is an interactive worksheet. So they would have to complete this on a computer. The bolded, underlined are actually hyperlinked. And so when they click on it, it'll bring them to a video. So there are 6 different videos of various cartoon movies that they've probably seen when they were younger. And so after watching it, they're going to identify which of the 6 types of conflict is represented, and then they have to give evidence from the clip. And this evidence from the clip is going to help them in the future with the other lessons, just because eventually that's going to be, they have to find evidence from a text. And so this is a good leeway. I would have the other students in the class outside of the small group that needed help also complete this assignment. They just wouldn't get the 10-minute introduction, just review of what those are. They would just be working on this, and they would have a few more as well. So yeah, this would be, I think, really interactive and engaging.